Hello, my name is Rachel Reynolds, and I am the Director of Customer Experience for Broadloom's Business Management System platform. In this training, I will cover journal entry posting and the new General Journal log file. There are multiple ways to post journal entries in the system. Let's start with manual journal entries by navigating to the General Ledger module, then selecting Journal Posting. The journal posting module will be used primarily to post values to accounts that are not updated during regular system processing. You will make both the debit and credit side of the entries, and the debits must equal the credits before you can save the entry. Starting with the posting date field, which defaults to the current date, the user can either key in the field to make changes or use the drop-down calendar to select another date. In the account number field, the account number can either be keyed in manually. If it's a valid account, the description will show down below, or a user can press the account number button to pull the lookup. You can scroll through your active accounts using the arrows. You can also begin typing to search the list. In the reference column, type any type of brief reference for this journal posting. On the support side of things, we typically use BMS as well as our initials. The comment 1 and comment 2 fields can be used to type a description or a reason for this journal entry. So maybe this is our monthly depreciation. Those fields, including the reference, are not required. Moving to the debit or credit, you can go ahead and make a selection by dropping down the list or keying D or C on your keyboard, and then typing in the amount. Once I press add, that'll move down to my lower grid here. Now, please notice that all of the information that was previously keyed stays, so you can continue to add using the same reference, comment, and date information. Please also notice that as new lines are added to the journal posting, there's a running total of debits and credits. If the difference is anything other than 0, the save button is not active. I'm going to go ahead and key the other side of this entry. Take it to my depreciation expense account. And now that I'm in balance, I'm now able to save. A couple other things to note is that some customers may have the job cost detail from AP control enabled. So when they're pressing add, the system will prompt to update the job cost file detail. At that point, if a user presses no, it'll act just like we saw here. If a user presses yes, there'll be a prompt to enter a job number. Please also keep in mind that there's the ability to reverse or auto-reverse an entry, and this is most commonly used for accrual entries that need to be reversed in the following month. By default, if this is toggled, once we save the initial posting, the screen will prompt and ask to save the reversing entry, which in this case would use the next day of the following month or December 1st in period 12. Now, before we save, we can edit any of these records by highlighting and right-clicking. Any of these fields can be edited. Be sure to press save if you make changes. You can also delete a line from the list if it was posted in error. When everything's in order, go ahead and press save, and it'll confirm that the journal entry was posted successfully. Now, before we leave this page, I want to bring your attention to the newest addition, which is a log file related to all of the journal posting modules. If you press this, you'll be prompted to enter a year and then a particular month, and this is going to be based off of the actual posting date, not necessarily the posting period. And go ahead and press download here. You can see that build out there. But for every entry that's posted, we'll have the actual date and timestamp when that entry was made, the user, the branch the user was logged into, the source of the entry, so manual, for example. We'll also see templates, etc. We'll cover those in just a minute. The actual GL date, if they didn't use the current date, the general ledger sequence number, if that auto reverse feature was used, and if that job cost detail flag I mentioned is set and whether it was used, and if it was used, which order number it was applied to. Back in the general ledger menu, we're going to move on to the journal entry template program. Now, the purpose of this module is to create templates for recurring journal postings. And one thing to note is that the values can change between postings. Great example of use for this is for payroll. Once I've given the template a name, I'm going to go ahead and add lines to it. I'm going to give it a reference, maybe just PR for payroll. And I'm going to go ahead and make an oversimplified entry here. So there's my bank account. I'll call this net pay, and this will be a credit. I'll add that line. Now I'm going to add the other line here, which will go ahead and use one of my wages accounts here. And that'll be a debit. Once the template exists, keep in mind that we cannot edit anything, but you are able to delete and re-add lines as necessary. When you're ready to process entries, we'll press this button and we'll go ahead and key in the amounts. So again, a very oversimplified entry here, but just to give you the idea. And keep in mind again, this is checking to make sure our debits and credits are in balance. Since I haven't moved off this field yet, we're out of balance, and so I cannot write the entries. Once I tab off, that is available. Just like in the manual journal posting, we default to the current date. You can go ahead and update that as necessary. You do have the option to right-click to delete. You can, however, click in these fields to change the debit or credit, and of course, double-click here to update that amount. You do have the option to do the auto reversal here, like we discussed in the manual journal entry template. Works exactly the same way. Once everything's in order, you can go ahead and write the entries. Back in the general ledger module, we're going to discuss recurring journal entries next. Now, these are very similar to the templates. The main difference is that these amounts or values cannot be changed once the recurring entry is established. Let's go ahead and set one up. A great use of this would be for depreciation. So I'm going to enter a 4-digit code here to indicate that this is my monthly depreciation entry. And in the reference field, I'm just going to indicate that this is a recurring journal, not to be confused with something that might have been posted manually or through another method. I'm going to go ahead and indicate in the comment fields that this is my monthly depreciation entry and save my header information. Now I can start adding the individual lines. This is done the same way that we've seen in the other modules. And again, until this is in balance, I'm not able to save. Once my debits equal my credits, I can go ahead and save. Back in the setup screen, I can edit, and really the edit is only at the header level. I can also delete. So again, if those amounts change, you're going to need to actually delete the entire recurring entry and add new. Now I'm going to step back to this screen and go to the post option. Now, if I have multiple items, multiple recurring journal entries that I want to post, I can post accordingly. By double-clicking to select, any of these with the Y flag will be posted when I press this button. As long as at least one item is selected, I can go ahead and update my posting date. And when ready, go ahead and post selected. Please note there's no auto reversal option available with the recurring journal entries. Now, once more back in the general ledger module, I want to point out the ability to import files. A lot of customers prefer this over the other three options we just discussed. We come into this module, you can go ahead and download an example CSV. Once this opens, you'll notice it's the exact same formatting we've been using. Account, reference, 2 comment fields, the debit or credit indicator, and the amount. Once you have your file ready, you can go ahead and use the select file. Please note these do have to be saved as CSVs. I can go ahead in this case and press import, keeping my mode on GL for general ledger. So we'll go ahead and bring in the data on the file. And this is a good example where I might want to go back through and make sure that comment 1 is on both lines. But as long as we're in balance, I can go ahead and select my date and press the import button. Now there's one more spot where you can record a journal entry, and it's actually not directly in the general ledger module. I'm going to go back to our main menu and navigate instead into accounts payable and then the bank rec module. From this screen under options, I have the option to make a journal entry. And this works much the same way, but you will notice there are fewer fields to enter data on. So one thing to keep in mind if you need to make an entry while you're in the bank rec, maybe for example to record credit card fees, you can also navigate to the master menu, general ledger, and journal posting. You can use your template, your recurring journal entries, or also import that CSV. Next time we will cover general ledger reporting. In the meantime, I would highly recommend rewatching the Business Management Software Financials 1-on-1 and the year-end processing videos.